So with all of these New Year's resolutions and goal setting videos that are getting shared right now, I wanted to take a step back this week and talk about the three major mistakes that I see artists make when setting goals. Because if you're doing any of these three things, you'll likely keep yourself stuck and not see the growth that you desire. And I want that growth for you. But before getting into the practical information, I do want to share a little bit of context. Because I personally, for a very long time in my life, did not set goals. Like many, if not most people out there, I was living life reactively, responding to whatever came up, going from one thing to the next. My days were filled doing all of these things that other people asked of me, or doing these things that I thought society or my family expected me to do. I never made time to sit down and reflect and get clear on what I truly wanted. This led down the line to me being very deeply unfulfilled, reaching a level of depression, feeling like I had this hole inside that I had no idea how to fix. I was stuck for years. For me, it wasn't until I was in my 30s, after many years of working regular full-time jobs and giving my all to these jobs, that I finally reached this tipping point and I knew that I had to do something. I finally made myself set some personal goals, and it all started with getting clear on what I wanted. Here are some of the questions that I asked myself. The first one being, what do I want my life to look like 5 years, 10 years down the line? What do I want my days to feel like? And does art play a significant, important part in that life? And if so, what role does it play? And what impact do I want to have on others and on the world through this work? Answering these questions for yourself is incredibly important. You need to gain that clarity. You need to know your why. It was by doing this work that I was then able to set the right kind of goals for myself and the right kind of goals for that point in my life that I could actually work toward, because that is also very important. And something that I can say for sure is that if I hadn't started with that reflective moment, if I hadn't started setting goals, I wouldn't be here right now. I'm about to turn 41 next month. So this little business of mine has definitely taken years to grow and get to a point at which I'm able to fully sustain myself and my practice. But today I live a life that I love so much, that I am so grateful for. I'm thankful that Erica from back then started doing this work, because I wouldn't be here today living a life that is incredibly fulfilling and that makes me happy. But I totally understand how so many artists and creatives resist setting goals, because I do not consider myself to be a type A person at all. I am not the type of person that at 18 years old, I'm super ambitious and I'm working toward personal goals all the time. That has not been me pretty much ever. For me, goal setting back then felt like trapping myself in a box. What if I wanted to do something different? I was also very afraid of disappointing myself or disappointing others if I set a goal and didn't reach it. After many years of trying different strategies and delving deeper into goal setting, I now understand that setting goals is not about putting extra pressure on yourself or even about reaching specific deadlines, but about knowing who you are, honoring who you are, and having this clear North Star to continue working toward. Because as humans, we're meant to continue growing and learning. And it's by finding that thing that makes you you, and by finding those things that are important to you and working toward them, that you'll reach that level of happiness and fulfillment that you're looking for. It's about moving towards something that matters to you and not necessarily getting something done by a specific time frame. If you set a specific time frame and you didn't get something done by that given date that you thought you would get it done by, you haven't failed. That's actually a success, because you made a lot of progress toward that goal that you wouldn't have made if you hadn't set it to begin with. It's just that as humans, it's helpful to start with a time frame, because if you don't have that end date, it's very likely that you won't prioritize the thing, you won't have that fire under your bum, and you'll continue setting your project aside. If you're getting value from this video, please consider subscribing. It does mean a lot to me, and it helps ensure that I can keep creating these videos to share with you on YouTube. It's completely free, and I would love to have you join this beautiful art community. All right, so with all this said, let's go ahead and jump into the 3 main mistakes that I see artists make when setting goals. Mistake number 1 is not aligning your projects with your current skill level. Whether you're a beginner or you're farther ahead in your journey, you've probably experienced this at some point. I know that I definitely have. You start a new drawing or painting feeling super excited and motivated, but as you move forward, you get more and more frustrated because nothing is working, everything feels super hard, and you feel like you're fighting against your materials. It gets to a point at which you start questioning your ability, whether you should even be doing this to begin with. But believe me, it's not a lack of talent. It's just that you haven't taken the time to build up your skills to be able to tackle that project. You haven't solidified that foundation and build up your skills gradually in order to tackle something like that with greater ease and confidence. And I know that especially for beginners, it can be difficult to know whether a specific drawing or painting project is appropriate for your current skill level. I talk about this concept more in my Goldilocks zone video, which I'll make sure to link to down below in case you haven't checked it out. But the idea is simple. You have to acknowledge and honor the stage that you're currently at in your journey. Think about the skills you have developed so far with the previous practice you have done. Consider your knowledge on art fundamentals, such as elements and principles of art, color theory, perspective, 3D form, value, and so on, and then choose projects that align with that. In order to be in that sweet spot, that Goldilocks zone, that in my opinion, we should be working in at least 80% of the time as artists, it is definitely important to make time for projects that we do just for fun and enjoyment and relaxation. But if you're looking to build your skills, I think it is important to be in that sweet spot. And to be in that Goldilocks zone, the project on hand has to have enough newness to it so that it is still skill building, it's exciting to you, it's motivating for you, but not everything can be completely new because there's only so much newness we can take as humans when we're building a skill. If you've never worked on that kind of drawing or painting before, make sure that you're starting with the basics and you're building your skills gradually in order to get to that kind of fuller piece that you're looking to get great at in the future. If everything is completely new, you'll likely start with a low level of confidence, and then you'll get more and more frustrated as you go because everything seems super hard. You're not familiar with important concepts or any of these techniques or tools that we're bringing in. So whenever you're starting a new piece, whether it's a drawing or a painting, whether you're working from direct observation or off a reference photo or from imagination, ask yourself, is everything completely new to me here? Have I practiced some of the foundational skills needed for this project? For example, if you're trying to draw an interior scene or a room, have you practiced drawing simple 3D forms? Have you practiced 1 and 2 point perspective? If you want to delve into a watercolor painting of an animal, ask yourself, have I developed the skills necessary to tackle this piece with at least a little bit more confidence? Have I built up at least some amount of water and brush control? Have I practiced my color mixing so that I can paint this fur color? Have I practiced painting eyes and working on isolated eye studies of animals? Because eyes are such an important part of any portrait, whether human or animal. They are what make the animal come to life. No matter what kind of art it is that you enjoy working on, whether it's landscapes and scenes or still life or animal portraits or human portraits, or anything in between, there is always a way to break things down and to make things easier and simpler or more challenging depending on where you are in your journey. And this takes us straight into mistake number 2. which is not breaking down the type of artwork that you want to become great at into smaller, learnable parts. So many artists, especially in the beginning, want to jump straight into a full piece and create great results when they haven't done any practice or prep work at all. They get an idea for a piece or see someone's painting or find this great reference photo that really inspires them and don't stop to think about what goes into that process and whether you have the skills to work through it, or at least some of those skills, as I mentioned before. I know this because this happened to me as well. I expected myself to be able to sit down in front of my painting easel after 3 or 4 months of no painting at all and just go through the process super smoothly and create these great results. But of course, I was always super frustrated along the way and was very underwhelmed with my results. I've learned over the years, as I've continued developing my drawing and painting skills, that a healthy art practice or a healthy body of work involves smaller pieces and explorations, fun work, bad art, and studies that you're working on for yourself to build skill, to get to know your tools, to master your medium, maybe in a sketchbook or smaller drawings and paintings if you're not into sketchbooks. All of this non-glamorous practice work is very important alongside those larger, more polished pieces, more time-consuming pieces even, that you may decide to work on. It's all part of your body of work. They're both important. And just to provide a couple of examples of how you can break things down in concrete ways. Say you love painting watercolor landscapes. You can devote 1 week or 2 weeks or however long you feel you need to practice wet-on-wet techniques. You can spend another week or two practicing different types of skies, practice painting water, trees, different texture techniques for grasses and plants. Learn about aerial or atmospheric perspective so that you can easily have these strategies, these tools in your tool bag to create a believable sense of open space and depth in your landscapes. If you enjoy drawing portraits, perhaps an entire month you want to spend it learning the Loomis method or another method that will help you understand the three-dimensional structure of the head and facial proportions. And then maybe you want to spend another couple of weeks practicing a specific facial feature like eyes. And then the next couple of weeks you can spend it on noses or lips or ears, practice drawing different types of hair. Let me know in the comments what kind of art you're interested in developing your skills with and how you're going to be breaking that down. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you out. When you break down projects like this, your learning is way more enjoyable and your progress is inevitable. Not to mention, you're able to really break things down into doable, manageable chunks, bite-sized tasks that you can actually plug into your weekly agenda so that you can ensure that you're actually going to get them done. Because when you don't break things down, your goals remain very abstract and it's hard to follow through with them. And finally, mistake number 3 is not developing a supportive mindset. I truly do believe that as artists, developing a mindset that will help sustain you over the long run is just as important as developing your technical skills. Why? Because being an artist is hard. A lot of people consider it an uncommon path, and you have to be the one to give yourself permission to jump in with both feet and really start building this path, which is going to be unlike any other. There is no one correct path that is going to ensure anyone's success. You have to decide what success even means to you because it's different for all of us, and then continue working toward that, explore what works and what doesn't for you. The art you create is created by you and you alone. You came up with your concept, you went through the entire process on your own, and a lot of us share our work with other people, and that also invites in other people's comments and feedback that maybe we didn't ask for. Not to mention, failure is a constant in any creative's journey. All of this and more makes being an artist very challenging. So if you don't have the mindset to help support you over time, it's very likely that you're going to give up too soon. I'll link to a TED Talk by Carol Dweck down below so that you can check it out if you haven't already. In it, she talks about the difference between people with a growth mindset and people with a fixed mindset. As artists and creatives, I think it is imperative to build a growth mindset, because with this, you'll see failures and mistakes as a stepping stone in the right direction, as a reflection of growth, of you stepping out of your comfort zone, of trying something new. People with a growth mindset think that as long as you continue learning and putting in the work, you're going to continue growing. On the other hand, people with a fixed mindset are likely to believe that artists are born talented, and that there is a cap or limit to what they can do, what they can learn. With this, it's very likely that someone with a fixed mindset is going to give up pretty soon in their journey and is never going to see the progress that they desire, because they see mistakes and failures as proof that they are not artists, they are not meant to be doing this, and they'll never be able to develop their skills. The shift for me happened when I started valuing progress over perfection and the process over the end result. It is essential to celebrate the time and the effort that you're putting into your practice, and not only the perfect results that you create. Celebrate the fact that you sat down and worked on your art for 2 hours. That in and of itself is a success. Celebrate the fact that you started your Instagram account or your YouTube channel and you created that post or that first video to start sharing your work with others. That in and of itself is the success. Not the likes, not the subscribers, because you don't really have any control over that. Celebrate the fact that you put yourself out there and entered a competition, instead of only celebrating if you got accepted or if you won. Every time that you step out of your comfort zone to grow in an area that matters to you, celebrate it. Acknowledging that and celebrating that is going to help you stay motivated, which is going to help you stay consistent over time. If you'd like to go deeper into this and you'd like more guidance from me, I have a goal setting and time management workshop for artists, which includes a video and a downloadable workbook that you can access via a link below. In this workshop, I cover mindset strategies, productivity strategies, and I also provide my step-by-step process for setting big goals and breaking them down into smaller, doable tasks that I actually plug into my weekly agenda, and we go through the entire process together. If you made it to this point in the video, let me know in the comments below what goals you're going to be working toward in 2026. I'd love to hear from you. Here's to a great year full of art and growth.